Well, for more insight into what's going on at the Fukushima nuclear power plant, I'm now joined by Paul Gunter. He's there in Washington. He's a director of reactor oversight at Beyond Nuclear, a non-profit organisation. Thanks very much indeed, Mr. Gunter, for joining us live there in Washington. Well, earlier I spoke to an expert who likened the current crisis to Chernobyl. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, right now, as things are playing out, it's certainly headed that way. Our concern is there's more radioactive materials there at the Fukushima site than were at Chernobyl.
And what do you think is going on at the moment inside those reactors? How stable do you think they are at the moment from what you can gather from the information you're receiving?
Well, the last update that we have is that essentially 3 units are in meltdown mode. Clearly, 2 of the containment systems are damaged. One may very well be, Unit 3 may very well be ruptured. In addition to the 3 reactor accidents, all 6 of these nuclear power plants have tremendous amounts of nuclear waste stored in pools on top of the roof outside of containment. And clearly, unit number 4, the last report that we have, it has lost all water cooling. The fuel is, which in unit 4, they had offloaded the fuel out of the reactor, so they put the entire reactor core into this rooftop pool. So it's out of containment, it's lost, it has no water, and clearly we have a full core meltdown maybe on its way without any containment whatsoever. Then there are the 2 other pools in 5 and 6 that have been heating up, and the concern is that if they do not restore power to that facility, that all 6 reactors could become fully engaged and in a meltdown.
What does a full core meltdown mean? What are the implications, not only to people there in the vicinity, but beyond?
Well, the situation is that when the reactors or the nuclear fuel in these storage ponds is uncovered from any kind of circulating water system, the cladding, it's a zircaloy cladding, zirconium cladding around the nuclear fuel pellets. And so as the pellets overheat and begin to melt, they can ignite this zirconium. Now, if you powder zirconium, that's what you have in flash bulbs. Zirconium is also used in high explosives. But it's also, if it's metal, in a metal form, it's a very strong and efficient transfer of heat through the tube wall. But when it ignites, it will burn like a flare. It will issue tremendous amounts of hydrogen gas and oxygen. And when you put water on it, it makes a chemical reaction that separates out the hydrogen and the oxygen, and it makes a very explosive environment. And this is what we have in combination with all this radioactivity.
Sorry to ask you, interrupt there, but an explosive environment there, and also we're seeing radiation levels increasing beyond normal in Tokyo at the moment. But if that scenario did occur, what does that mean for the people in Tokyo, in Japan, and indeed in neighbouring Russia? There are concerns there in Russia. Are they really valid concerns?
The consequences of a chain reaction, not only in the reactor fuel for any one reactor, but the next reactor and the next reactor, and all 6 reactors becoming involved, it really becomes then a matter of which way the wind blows, and it will carry tremendous amounts of deadly radiation, sickening radiation, and the consequences are really, I can't really comprehend what it could mean, not only in the immediate pathway, but as the cloud begins to globally move.
Well, what about those who are dealing with the situation? Something like 50 engineers remaining out of 90% have obviously evacuated that nuclear plant. Now, US experts are claiming that people working at those reactors are now effectively taking their lives into their own hands. Are they really perhaps on a suicide mission here, preparing to risk their lives at the moment?
Certainly their lives are immediately at stake. Clearly they have sacrificed any kind of long life by being there. This is clearly an exposure that jeopardizes their immediate health, and actually there is concern for people who come in contact with them after coming out of this catastrophe.
Just very briefly and finally, what does this mean for the nuclear industry as a whole? Many critics will say this vindicates their argument. Just very briefly, what does this mean?
What this means is that nuclear power represents more of a liability than it does an asset in a time of national crisis or natural disaster. It's proven to be a failure financially. It will prove to be an increasing environmental threat unless we can move towards a 21st century energy policy with renewable energy and energy efficiency.
Good to talk to you. Paul Gunter, Director of Reactor Oversight at Beyond Nuclear, joining us live there in Washington. We appreciate your analysis on the situation there in Japan. Thank you.